Anita Okoro stood beside her brand new white BMW, looking at the old woman in her wheelchair, struggling along the dusty roadside. It was a cold afternoon in June on the outskirts of the city. Road construction work was underway, and dirty water had pooled everywhere. The old woman wore a faded cream wrapper and moved slowly, trying to avoid the muddy water. Anita was the spoiled daughter of Chief Okoro, a powerful Nigerian politician, and she suddenly got a cruel idea. She pressed the gas pedal and drove straight through a large puddle of dirty water next to the woman. What happened next shocked everyone and changed her family's destiny forever. The dirty water exploded everywhere, covering the helpless woman from head to toe. Amaka, as the villagers called her, sat frozen in her wheelchair, mud dripping from her gray hair and face. Her faded cream wrapper was now brown with sewage water. She had been struggling for hours to push her old wheelchair along the rough road, hoping to reach another village where nobody knew her story. Anita stopped her car and rolled down the window, laughing loudly. "Look at you now," she shouted, her voice filled with cruel pleasure. "Maybe next time you'll know not to roll where important people drive." She pulled out her phone and started recording a video of the soaked woman. "Wait until my friends see this pathetic witch." Mamakai's ancient eyes met Anita's through the car window. Those eyes had seen wealth and poverty, love and loss, life and death. She said nothing, but tears mixed with the dirty water on her wrinkled face. Slowly, with great effort, she began wheeling herself away, maintaining her dignity even in this moment of humiliation. But Anita was not finished. She got out of her car, still recording. "This is what happens when poor people don't know their place," she continued, her laughter echoing across the empty road. "My father runs this state. We decide who belongs where." The old woman stopped her wheelchair and looked back one more time. In that moment, something passed between them that Anita would remember for the rest of her life. It was not anger or hatred in those ancient eyes. It was something deeper, something that made Anita's skin crawl for just a second. Then Amaka turned away and continued her painful journey. Anita got back in her BMW, still giggling. She immediately called her best friend Sandra. "Sandra, you won't believe what I just did. I saw this dirty old witch in a wheelchair, and I splashed muddy water all over her. She looked so stupid sitting there all wet." "Anita, that's mean," Sandra said, but she was laughing too. "Mean? It was hilarious. Poor people need to learn to stay in their place. That old witch probably learned her lesson today." Anita spent the rest of the day shopping at expensive stores and having lunch with her friends at the most exclusive restaurant in the city. She showed them the video of Amaka, and they all laughed together. Her friends competed to see who could make the cruelest joke about the old woman. That evening, Anita returned to her family's massive compound. The house had 20 rooms, 3 swimming pools, and gardens filled with exotic flowers. Armed security guards protected the gates, and servants attended to her every need. She lived like a princess, never wanting for anything. At dinner, she sat with her father in their grand dining room. Chief Emmanuel Okoro was one of Nigeria's most powerful politicians, holding high government office and controlling massive political influence through years of corruption. He had built an empire worth over $50 million from government contracts and stolen public funds. "Papa, how was your day?" Anita asked, cutting into her imported steak. "Very good, my daughter. Tomorrow I'm flying to Abuja for important political meetings. I'll be back in 3 days. Take care of yourself and don't spend too much money while I'm gone." Anita laughed. "Papa, we have so much money I could never spend it all." But she did not tell him about Amaka. She did not mention the old woman in the wheelchair or the strange look in those ancient eyes. What Anita did not know was the tragic story behind the woman she had humiliated. Amaka had not always been poor. 3 years ago, she had been a wealthy woman with a beautiful house, a successful business, and most importantly, a loving family. Her husband David and her 3 children, 2 daughters and a son, had been her entire world. They lived happily until one terrible night when everything changed forever. The family went to bed as usual, laughing and sharing stories. But when morning came, only Amaka woke up. Her husband and 3 children had died in their sleep. No doctor could explain what happened. No medical examination could find a cause. They had simply gone to sleep and never woken up. The grief destroyed Amaka's life. She lost her business because she could not work. She lost her house because she could not pay the bills. She lost her friends because they became afraid of her. Whispers started in the village that she was cursed, that she had somehow brought death to her own family. Some people said she was a witch who had killed her family for spiritual power. The rumors grew worse each day. Mothers would grab their children and cross the street when they saw her coming. People would spit on the ground and make protective gestures. Shop owners would refuse to serve her. The isolation and rejection drove her deeper into poverty until she was left with nothing but an old wheelchair and the clothes on her back. After 3 years of persecution, Amaka made a desperate decision. She would leave her village and try to reach Makoko, one of Lagos's poorest communities, where nobody knew her story. Maybe there, among people who had nothing, she might find some basic human kindness. So on that cold June afternoon, she had been pushing her wheelchair for hours along the dusty road, hoping to escape the cruelty of people who once called her friend. Her muscles ached, her throat was dry, and her heart was broken. But she kept moving, driven by the faint hope that somewhere ahead lay a place where she could find peace. Instead, she found Anita Okoro. The next morning, Anita woke up late as usual. It was 10 a.m., too early for her normal routine, but her phone was ringing loudly, jarring her from sleep. "Hello," she answered sleepily. "Anita, wake up. Turn on the news right now." It was her father's voice and he sounded panicked. "Papa, what's wrong? Aren't you in a buha? Just turn on Channel 7 News right now." Anita stumbled to her television and turned it on. The morning news was playing, and she could not believe what she saw. Breaking news: Chief Okoro's political empire collapses overnight. The news reporter continued, "Chief Emmanuel Okoro, one of Nigeria's most powerful politicians, has lost his position in what appears to be the biggest corruption scandal in the country's history. An international investigation has revealed years of embezzlement and fraud. Sources tell us that Chief Okoro stole over $40 million from government contracts and hid the money in Swiss bank accounts." Anita's hands shook as she held the remote. This had to be a mistake. Her phone rang again. "Papa, tell me this is not true." "Anita, it's all gone. Everything. The bank accounts are frozen. The properties are being seized. The EFCC is coming to take everything. I'm stranded in Abuja. I can't even pay for my hotel room." "But Papa, we have money in other accounts, right? What about the house? What about my car? They're taking everything. I mortgaged all our properties to invest in more schemes. I thought I was making us richer, but I've made us poor. You need to pack only what you can carry and leave the house immediately." Anita dropped the phone and ran to her window. She saw government vehicles and police cars surrounding their compound. Men in suits were walking around with papers, pointing at different parts of the house and making notes. Within 2 hours, everything changed. EFCC officials told Anita she had 30 minutes to pack personal items only. No jewelry, no expensive clothes, no electronics, just basic necessities. "But this is my home," Anita protested, tears streaming down her face. "Not anymore, miss. This property now belongs to the federal government of Nigeria. You need to leave immediately." For the first time in her life, Anita packed one small bag with some clothes. She tried to take some gold jewelry, but the officials stopped her. "Those are considered assets. They stay here." As she walked out of her family home with nothing but a small bag, Anita felt a crushing weight in her chest. The security guards who used to bow to her now looked at her with disgust. The servants she had ordered around for years avoided her eyes. Her first instinct was to call her friends for help, but one by one, they all rejected her. "Anita, I'm sorry, but my parents said I shouldn't be seen with you anymore," Sandra said coldly. "It's not good for our family's reputation." Every friend said the same thing. The people who used to compete for her attention, who used to laugh at her jokes and beg for invitations to her parties, now treated her like she had a disease. That first night, Anita slept behind a shopping mall, shivering in the cold. She had never been so scared in her life. She had no money for food or water. The ground was hard and strange sounds kept her awake all night. For 3 days, she wandered the streets begging for food and water. People looked at her with disgust. Her clothes became dirty, her hair became messy, and she started to smell because she had nowhere to bathe. On her third day on the streets, Anita was sitting outside a market when she heard a familiar voice. "Anita, is that really you?" She looked up and saw Patience, who used to be one of their housemates. Patience looked shocked. "What happened to you? You look so different." Anita started crying. "Patience, we lost everything. Papa's political career is gone. I have nothing. I'm so hungry." Patience stared at her former employer's daughter. Just weeks ago, Anita had treated her like she was worthless, screaming at her for small mistakes and threatening to fire her for no reason. Now Anita was in worse condition than Patience had ever been. "This is not normal," Patience said slowly. "Rich people don't become poor like this overnight. Something is not right." Patience bought Anita some food and water. As Anita ate desperately, Patience watched her carefully. "Tell me exactly what happened before your family lost everything. Did you do anything unusual?" Anita thought about it. "Nothing special. Papa said it was corruption charges and frozen accounts." "Think harder, Anita. Sometimes the smallest actions can have the biggest consequences." Then Anita remembered Mama Kai. She told Patience about splashing the dirty water on the old woman in the wheelchair and laughing at her. Patience's eyes grew wide with fear. "Anita, that was very dangerous. You don't know who that old woman was. You think the old woman did something to us? I think we need to see Baba Adi. He is a seer who can tell us if this is spiritual or not." The next day, Patience took Anita to see Baba Adi in his small house. The old seer looked at Anita for a long time without saying anything. His eyes seemed to see right through her soul. "I can see darkness around you," he finally said, his voice trembling. "You have been cursed by someone very powerful." "A curse?" Anita whispered. "Yes. You harmed someone who has strong spiritual protection. The spirits are angry with you. Your family's wealth has been taken away as punishment for your wickedness." "But I only splashed water on an old woman. I didn't kill anyone." "Sometimes the greatest sins are how we treat the weakest people," Baba Adi said sternly. "Tell me about this old woman." When Anita described Mama Kai, Baba Adi's face went pale with terror. "You attacked Mama Kai, the widow of sorrows?" His voice was barely a whisper. "You know her. Everyone in the spiritual world knows her story. She was once wealthy like you, but she lost her husband and 3 children in one night. They died from a curse meant for someone else. Now she is protected by the spirits of her dead family. When you humiliated her, you insulted the dead themselves." Anita felt ice in her veins. "Can you remove the curse?" "Only the person who was wronged can forgive and remove the curse. You must find Mama Kai and ask for her forgiveness. If she forgives you from her heart, the curse will be lifted." For the first time in days, Anita felt hope. "I'll find her. I'll apologize." Anita spent the next week searching desperately for Mama Kai. She went back to the exact spot where she had splashed the water. She asked everyone in the area if they knew an old woman in a wheelchair. Most people ignored her because she looked like a street person now. Her clothes were dirty, her hair was messy, and she smelled bad. But a few people were willing to talk. Finally, a young man selling newspapers said he might know who she was talking about. "There's an old woman called Mama Kai who used to live around here. People say she's cursed. She was trying to get to Makoko because she wanted to go somewhere. Nobody knew her story. Can you take me to find her?" Anita begged. "I'll pay you when my problems are solved." The young man, whose name was Seun, agreed to help. They took a bus to Makoko, one of Lagos's poorest communities. Anita had never seen such poverty before. Houses were built on water with old wood and metal sheets. Children played in dirty water, and the smell was terrible. "Looks like this is your first time here," Sun said as they walked through narrow paths between the shacks. "This is where the forgotten people live." They reached a small area where several people were gathered outside a tiny house. Some women were crying, and men were talking in low voices. "What's happening here?" San asked one of the women. "Mama Kai died last night," the woman replied sadly. "She was a good woman, always tried to help everyone, even though she had nothing." Anita felt like someone had poured ice water on her heart. "Dead? She's dead." "Yes, my sister. She died peacefully in her sleep. We're preparing for her funeral." Anita started crying loudly. No, she can't be dead. I need to talk to her. I need her forgiveness." The people looked at her strangely. "Did you know Mama Kai?" someone asked. Seun quickly pulled Anita away before she could answer. "She's not well," he told the people. "Sorry for disturbing you." As they walked away, Anita told Seun everything. He listened without judgment. "You were very cruel," he said finally, "but now it's too late to fix it." They went back to see Baba Adi. When Anita told him that Mama Ki had died, he shook his head sadly. "Then it is finished. The curse cannot be reversed now. Only Mama Ki could have lifted it, and she has joined the ancestors." "But surely there's something else I can do," Anita pleaded, falling to her knees. "Nothing. Your family will remain poor for the rest of your lives. You will know what it feels like to be looked down upon, to be ignored, to be treated like you don't matter. This is the price for your cruelty. Please, there must be another way." The spiritual world does not give second chances when someone dies with fresh wounds in their heart, Baba Adi said firmly. "Mama Kai died with the memory of your cruelty. The spirits of her dead family have already passed judgment." 2 weeks later, Chief Okoro returned from Abuja as a broken man. He found his daughter living on the streets, begging for food. Together, they slept in abandoned buildings and asked people for money. The same people who used to bow to them now walked past them without even looking. Former friends crossed the street to avoid them. Business partners who used to call Chief Okoro every day now treated him like he was invisible. Anita learned what it felt like to be hungry for days. She learned what it felt like when people laughed at her dirty clothes. She learned what it felt like when security guards chased her away from places where she used to shop. One night, as she and her father shared a small piece of bread they had begged for, Anita finally told him the truth. "Papa, I'm sorry," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "This is all my fault." "What do you mean?" her father asked. Anita told him everything about Mama Kai, the splash of dirty water, and the curse. Chief Okoro listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long time. "I always taught you that we were better than other people because we had money and power," he said finally. "I was wrong. Money doesn't make us better. How we treat others is what makes us human." "But now it's too late to learn that lesson," Anita said, crying. "Maybe this is the lesson we needed to learn," her father replied. "Maybe we needed to lose everything to find our humanity." Years passed. Anita and her father became known around Lagos as the fallen politician's family. Some people pitied them, others ignored them, and a few laughed at their fall from grace. Anita never forgot Mama Kai's face. Every night she remembered the old woman's ancient eyes when the dirty water hit her. She remembered how Mama Kai had willed herself away with dignity even when she was humiliated. Now Anita understood what that dignity meant. It was something money could never buy and poverty could never take away. But understanding came too late. She learned that Mama Kai had maintained her grace through 3 years of persecution and rejection. She had lost her family, her wealth, and her home, but she never lost her humanity. She never became cruel like the people who hurt her. Anita realized that both she and Mama Kai had fallen from wealth to poverty. But while Mama Ki had faced her suffering with dignity, Anita had used her privilege to cause more suffering. That was the difference between them. The curse remained. Chief Okoro never regained his political position. They never recovered their wealth. They lived as outcasts, experiencing firsthand the cruelty and indifference they had once shown to others. In the end, Anita learned the hardest lesson of all. Some mistakes cannot be undone, and the price of cruelty can be higher than anyone imagines. When you mock those who are already suffering, when you kick someone who is already down, when you show no mercy to the grieving and the broken, the spiritual world takes notice. The spirits that protected Mama Kai had watched her journey from wealth to poverty, from love to loss, from acceptance to rejection. They had seen her maintain her dignity through it all. And when a spoiled girl with everything chose to humiliate someone with nothing, they delivered justice. Anita's story became a warning, whispered in markets and told in homes across Nigeria. Never look down on anyone. Never mock anyone because tables can turn at any time. Treat every person with respect and kindness, regardless of their social status or wealth. The poor person you humiliate today might hold spiritual power you cannot imagine. And remember this truth above all others. Wickedness always finds a way to return to those who practice it. In this world or the next, justice will be served. The spirits are always watching, and they never forget.